for a change, I'm 2 minutes early instead of 5 minutes late. I'm usually pretty good to being on time, okay? Yeah? Can we agree on that? So, today I thought it would be a neat thing to get started on. Maybe actually for right now what I want to do is just use the game settings for this. Exposure compensation so we can see stuff. What I thought would be a neat idea to be doing today would be to go up to this dungeon over here that we have and start working on at least like a block out of what this, not this room, we already have a block out for that room, what the eventual boss room will be like. So this is the pre-boss room. This is where you have to like collect these 3 keys before like this door opens up and lets you in. And is this a little over dramatic for being the door to a boss fight? A literal wall and corridor made of skulls? Yeah, it is. But I like it, so we're gonna keep it. This is also specifically like the catacombs area for the game, of course. So that's why we do this fully with skulls. So then we move on into here, and then behind there is going to be the actual like boss fight room, which I have a vague idea for, but not that much. Hello. So the ID is okay. Let me get started with the ID for like what the boss fight itself is going to be like, because we have like this enemy over here, right? I don't have a model for that boss fight yet. I started one, and I did it on stream a couple of weeks ago. And looking back at it, it's just kind of shit. So I'm going to reorganize a little bit and redesign that thing, and then recreate it at some point, but that's not going to be a today thing. But this guy is like the base minion version of the boss fight, right? And what he does is he's just got like a normal attack, just like swipe left, swipe right, the usual stuff. But his actual like interesting stuff, and let's open up his blueprint to show, is that he has a gameplay ability somewhere in here. Surely I have it in an array. Surely somewhere, maybe abilities. Can I search this up? Abilities. There we go. We've got the left attack and the right attack. That's an entirely different thing. The right attack. And then we've got the teleport attack, and that's the thing that we're going to be working with here today. So I'll just real quick go through what this attack does. It plays a disappearing animation. Then it sets the actor to be hidden in game. I also need to disable collision and stuff like that at some point. It waits a certain amount of time, between 3 and 5 seconds here. And then it sets the actor's location to a random point around the player. It rotates it toward the player, and then sets it to unhide itself and play an attack animation. That it waits to deal damage, and it ends the ability on completion of that animation. So that's the like special ability that this enemy class has. It has this teleporting attack, right? And that's also what the boss fight is going to do. The boss fight is going to work a little bit differently though. It's not going to be teleporting to a random point around the player. It's going to have like, I'm thinking at the moment 5, but maybe like 6 or 7 points on the map where when it disappears, it can teleport onto, and then from there it's going to dash at the player. And I'm like pantomiming this with my hands, you guys can't see that. But then it's going to, from one of those positions, dash at the player, like do a swipe with its weapon, and the fight will just resume from there. So that teleport attack is like the consistent through line between these two enemies. Meaning that the arena itself is going to have to be built in probably a circle with those things being spaced out evenly, somewhat evenly anyway. Maybe I space them out in like half a circle instead. The idea there is that we're going to be fighting in like the deepest parts of these catacombs. So it's probably going to be like a king's grave or something like that, right? A proper tomb is what we're going to be fighting in. So that's the idea for now. Will you be using Niagara? I do use Niagara quite a bit. I don't have like a lot of particles, but if I just like go over here, for instance, we have some particles coming out of this skull, which is done through Niagara. And if I play the game real quick, like all of this is Niagara, that stuff is Niagara. If I swing my sword, that is Niagara. If I switch weapons, which doesn't quite work, I somehow fucked that up. I will fix up the sound in a moment. But the weapon switching particle systems here are Niagara, and then of course we have like weapon trails for this one as well. So I already do use it quite a bit. Now, okay, let's switch up the output audio for this. So it's coming over my speakers instead. So that's a pretty basic rundown of what the idea is going to be here today. Mostly we're going to start with just like a simple mock-up block out, and that's mostly because I don't have any art for this anyway, so even if I wanted to do more, I probably couldn't. Let's make a streaming level though for this, so we can make a like new level, empty, and we'll, that's not what I meant to do. It's been a while since I've made new parts to this map, can you tell? Not true, we are 4. I don't know what you're talking. Also, I don't know, like, can I just let go of this? Thank you. Not entirely sure what you mean. Where's my levels? There they are. Let's open up the persistent level again. Sure, let's check that out. We're not going to be doing much with that probably, but fine. You can make streaming levels through here as well, can't you? Summon level details, levels, create new, there we go. Which will be an empty level. And that will be probably then 115. Let's call it 115. Reaper boss. Oh, only viewer, there are 4 of them. I didn't even see that previous message. Yeah, no, there's a few people around here. Sometimes there's not, and that's fine. It's like people who just watch this as a VOD anyway. Not a lot of them. Majority of people stop in live. Let's go into modeling mode. I always have trouble deciding the scale of how like big a room should be, and especially for like a boss fight, that is quite relevant. And that's the one real big thing I don't like about this modeling mode thing, is that it makes that like a destructive thing, I believe. But I suppose we just start with a cylinder and see where we go from there. You can just move this in any old direction and then make this a big radius. It's got to be bigger than this. Also a fair bit higher than that. Let's just make it like 10 times radius. That's going to make it 20 times. That's maybe a little too big. Yeah. Just for context, right? If I go to here, this is roughly the size of the player, this collision box over here. So this room in and of itself is relatively, like, not huge, but it's got some size to it. So this is fucking humongous. Let's go for 3,500. That makes it 7,000 units across. That may be good. That may be good. Definitely could do with a little bit more height, though, because I do want to have the feeling that this thing is big as hell. So 4,000 in height. Actually, I've got a genius idea. If we just move this thing around a little bit, right? We can just move it around until the checkpoint is in the middle of it, and then we can't see shit because, of course, we can't. That actually makes a whole lot of sense. Can we say here that we want to flip normals already? I want this to be inside out. Yeah, YouTube's also bad with sending out notifications, so people don't know that streams are happening at all. Especially today, because usually I don't stream on Wednesdays, but I didn't stream on Monday due to work stuff, and then I didn't stream yesterday due to related work stuff, and then today I was like, I'm still busy with work, but I probably should catch up with the streaming. So that's where we're at this point. Rotational slices definitely should be a little higher as well, though. So let's go to 32. Just fuck it, 64. Why not? Let's make it nice and round. Yeah, at this point, you know, I feel like we should just make this mesh and try to figure this out some other way. What we can do, still for the... I have a much better idea, actually. Player... no, it's called third person character. Let's just get you, copy it over, copy your location, and just put our third person character literally inside of this thing to see how its scale compares. Now, we also need to flip its normals, which is a transform thing, I'm guessing. Maybe not. Attributes, that also would make sense. How do you play Valorant? I do not. No. Tangents, normals, there we go. Recompute normals. Invert normals, there we go, that's what I wanted. Yeah, you see, this is way too fucking big. Instantly, we want to have distance, field lighting, distance, field lighting, not affect this thing, so we actually have like light inside of here. I don't know why there's purple lighting there, but we're just gonna ignore that for now. So yeah, this thing is way too small, I would say, because it needs to be kind of a tight area. Since we're going to be fighting a boss, right? You don't want to have like too many places to run. So I don't think that this is a great place for us to be at the moment. Let me go into... they changed this between like 5.1 and 5.3. Oh, but pattern, that probably means that I can make interesting stuff. I think this lets me make like a radial array, which... Can we just stop there for a moment and complain about Blender still not having that as a feature? Because I always get so messed up when I try to make a... What the fuck even is happening here? I can only select these edges? Is that what's happening here? Because that doesn't... It's because I'm in D form. I want to be in edit. Poly group. There we go. That's what I want. Okay. Let's make this a little, no, a little small. Oh, I said a little smaller. That's maybe a bit too much. Calm the fuck down. Come on. Okay. How does that feel? That feels a little better, and it also makes the thing feel a lot taller, which I think is a good thing. I kind of wish there was an easy way for me to... I guess there is an easy way for me to test this, actually. If I go into just normal selection mode and I say, hey, you are going to be always loaded. There's every chance in the world that this does not have collision. But if I just play from here... that's right. That's right. That's not how that works at all, is it? Because of the way I have my shit set up. Still... Can we just like right click and possess you? Is that a thing we can do? If we pilot... I doubt it, but it is worth checking. No, we can't. But we do have a... That just restarts the game. Okay. I'm trying to figure this out. Trying to figure out a good way of me playing, but I think I can just like say, hey, go here, right? That was the thing that I could do. Go here. That's just a viewport. Okay. In that case, I have a different ID. I can just say, hey, copy your location. Guess what the fuck we're now here to do. So how big is this room? Like, is this boss fight size at this point? Is it maybe a little bit too small? I feel like this is a pretty decent boss fight size, because even if I'm all the way over on this side of the room, then again, there needs to be a little bit of decoration as well. So this might be a good size to keep for like the actual arena portion of this thing. But then when we start adding some more decoration and stuff like that, this might be a little on the small side for the entire room. For now, let's keep this, and we can always just like kind of build around this if we end up needing to, I guess. But like going from one side to the other, how long does that take? That's like 1, 2. Actually, I literally have a timer on screen here. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. About 7 seconds to go from one side to the other. I think that's pretty reasonable. I don't think that's too bad. So let's take this as our base size. We can always tweak this a little bit later, but I think we're better off with a starting size here than with many of the other rooms I've done. Just for a bit of context, why I'm so paranoid about that is that this room over here, the central one, there's this little band of like floor where we can walk around the entire circular thing. That used to come out to about here, be like 3 times in width or something like that. Meaning that this entire circle was like about twice the size it is now in its diameter. And it was just like way too big and very empty, and it wasn't great. So I'm trying to avoid repeating that mistake. Now, for the actual spawn points of these things, right? Let's go back into modeling mode. I'm just going to put down some boxes here. As placeholders, more or less. Eventually those are going to have to be separate objects because I need to like reference their location. So at least separate components, just not one mesh. For now, I think one mesh will work fine because I think this will allow us to just like, use this pattern thing, right? That's how this works. I've never used this one before, so bear with me here for a moment. Thank you for liking my voice and my accent. I don't think that I'll be the announcer. I don't know. Maybe I'll use my voice a little bit, but there's not going to be like any dialogue, as in no spoken dialogue in the game. And any dialogue there is going to be like that Animal Crossing Simlish kind of dialogue. As in, it's going to be pure nonsense and just going to be there to portray like character more so than actual language. I think a better example actually of that is like Rayman 2. I think in like some of the incarnations of Rayman 2, the voice actors actually just like speak the actual dialogue. I don't like it. I really liked the idea that the original Rayman 2 release, at least the first one I played, which is the PC version, just has like gibberish. But inside that gibberish, you can still like feel the vibes of those characters and the emotions in the moment. I really like that. And my game is going to do something similar to that. Okay, so this is just an array modifier at the moment. But if we can say we want to like have these things all rotated. I want them to be a radial array around a point though. Spacing mode. Shape. Circle. Okay. We getting somewhere. Let's say we want to have 7 of them or something like that. And then the radius of the circle is going to be significantly larger. Is 7 maybe even too much? Do I sound Australian? That's interesting. I mean, I sound like a lot of fucking things. That said, I do like work quite a bit with Australian people. So maybe I'm picking up on the accent because of that. But yeah, I am Dutch. So that is correct. There's got to be a better way to position these. Actually, the straight up is. And thanks for the follow. Yeah, so let's do this a slightly less idiotic way. Let's just copy over the location for this thing and then pull it up in the... I don't know what the hell happened to its rotation, but I don't really care for it. Pull it up in the Z there, and then we're going to do this whole pattern thing. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, so now this will work a little bit better. Until they are barely clipping in. Can I just say, hey, increase the scale on these things a little bit? I can. Man, this whole pattern thing is actually quite cool. I actually quite like this. Now, we have to decide how many of these things there's going to be, because the moment I press accept, I'm pretty sure this is destructive. So, that's pretty final. The issue is that that's going to like need gameplay testing anyway at some point. So I don't know that we really need to choose. But this feels like it might be... These are all the points that its special attack is going to be able to come from, right? It's going to disappear. It's going to stay away from for like 3 to 5 seconds. Maybe a little bit shorter because it's the boss fight. And then it's going to spawn in again. Or just move toward, in reality, one of these points. And then like move in toward the player and do a slash. Are these too many points for that? It feels like it is. It feels like it should be less to make sure that like the potential angles for each one of them are significantly different. Because at this point, right, at the scale that we're at, how much of a difference does it make whether the boss spawns here and goes toward us, wherever we might be at that point in the arena, or it spawns here or here? I don't think it's a huge difference. Because as we just discussed, at the player's walking speed, it takes 7 seconds to cross the diameter of this arena. And I think that this boss fight is going to be faster than the player. So for the boss fight, it probably will be like 5.5 seconds. So from a perspective of the player has to react to whatever happened just now, does this angle make a big enough difference? Or should we go with something like this? This feels a little better to me. I think 5 might be a little too little, right? I think 6 is a pretty good middle ground. Just kind of as like vibes. Because, of course, we're going to need to test this with actual players in order to feel what this will be like. But for now, I think that this is a pretty good decision. So, did we just spend like 10 minutes trying to just put a couple of cubes in the air? Yeah, welcome to my life. Oh, but then it actually does. Huh, that's interesting. It makes a new object out of that. And they are all different components. So I can just swap out those static meshes now, and I still have references to all those components. Oh, I really like that. So now I have to... It says pattern 0 instance. So if I go back to pattern now... Hold the fuck on. No, that doesn't work like that. Never mind. I thought for a second there that I could change this after the fact. That would have been kind of great if I could. Yeah, I don't think I can. Again, it's a destructive workflow thing. I second guess my decisions a lot, so I don't like destructive workflows. I'll just delete that thing then. Hello, welcome new YouTube viewer. So, oh my god, somebody do be texting me, or was that my phone? Well, yeah, it's my phone. I've got 2 phones here. Okay, I've got a phone and I've got a phone that is effectively a stream deck. It seems like it's the second one, so it's just like an Instagram message or something that caught me off guard. Now, we've got this. I'll keep this guy around for like reference purposes if I want to walk around this area. Now we need to add in a little bit of context as to like where we are, what this looks like. My thinking is... this is going to be like a tomb for a king or whatever. Something important. Someone important. So the grave for the king should probably be in the middle. I see one little issue with that though. And that is that if we do that, the boss is definitely going to get stuck on it. So that's not great. This is very not great. Yeah, no. That's... should have thought about that. And it would be weird to have like a round room and then have the grave be at the back of it instead of in the middle. So maybe we actually don't want a round room. The actual arena is definitely going to be circular because I like this idea of the boss fight being able to spawn at any of these locations. I write my game in probably 60% C++, 40% Blueprint, something like that. That's a rough estimate though. There's a lot of it done in Blueprint because some parts of Blueprint just make more sense for like quickly and easily developing as a solo developer here. Like, especially with the gameplay ability system, it's got like a lot of asynchronous shit, which is just a little bit more of a headache to deal with in C++. But a lot of the base code is in C++. So if we just, I probably shouldn't get sidetracked every 2 seconds, but if I go into my character class here, it's got a fuck of a ton of includes, but like all this is set up in C++, and I've got like functions to set and get stuff and reset stuff, and we've got the begin play. Well, I'm not going to go over the entirety of my code for my character for what I think. Well, there's also some things that I no longer use, but what I think are pretty obvious reasons. It's going to take forever if I want to go through this. It's about 900 lines long almost. If I remove the things that I'm not using anymore, it's probably like 750. But there's a lot of this done in C++, right? But then I also have some stuff in the third-person character blueprint itself, which is to do with like things that I set up in Blueprint, like the particle effects for the weapon appearing and disappearing, any UI-related stuff I do in Blueprint, and so on and so forth. And any animation-related stuff as well. We add a camera shake on the boss's attack. I have camera shake pretty much on any hit. So whenever the boss hits you, it'll probably have a camera shake. And whenever you hit the boss, it'll probably also have a camera shake. Can you make Slenderman the end boss? No. We'll not be doing that. The end boss is going to be a pain in the ass to animate and code as is, because I have IDs. Let's just start putting down some blocks and see what we end up with, I guess. So we can just put down this block here, and I guess what we want to do, maybe, yeah, I'm thinking, okay, so I have an idea. Right? I have an idea. I don't know if it's a good idea, but I certainly have an idea. We're going to take this mesh that I just had, and we're going to change it up a little bit. So we'll go into our modeling mode, into poly editing, and I'm going to inset this face a little bit, just for a block out, and then we want to extrude this face downward a fair bit, which will then update all of these things around, making them more into pillars. Now that these things are pillars, I don't need this thing anymore. We can go back into you, and we can make this entire area a lot bigger. That also gives us some room for some more art assets later down the line, which I think is a nice little touch. So this inner area over here will be the actual fight arena. We'll probably also inset this, if I were to guess. So we inset this and we say, hey, now the question is, are we going to raise this or are we going to lower this area? What makes sense here? Like, what is the story behind the environment? That's the most important part. Like, what is this actually meant for in universe? In gameplay, obviously, it's a fight arena. But in universe, what is this meant to be used for? I suppose this is like a ritual area. To do a ritual for like the funeral for a king or whatever. So I think it makes the most sense for this to be lowered down, because the actual tombstone and like the coffin and stuff is then going to be here on the back. So you definitely don't want to be looking down on that, right? Because this is going to be like, again, for a king. So I think we want to extrude this down. Not that far though. Holy hell, that's way too much. Just extrude this down a little bit. Just something like that. Frankly, that might still be a little much, but we'll deal with it later. Am I really dropping frames? I'm not even using any fucking bandwidth. I need to get on like Restream rather than what I'm doing right now. Because I'm manually streaming to both Twitch and YouTube, and that's just, my bandwidth does not like that sometimes. But Restream costs money, so fuck that shit. We're not doing that. Yeah, I think that this looks better. It also looks a little bit more like, I don't know, the fact that there's an area around this now makes it look a little bit more detailed or something. I have a hard time really like articulating why I like this so much. What I will do, however, is I will be copying this door. Because we need a way back out after we've defeated the boss fight. And we probably want that way out to be situated somewhat between two of those pillars. There's no use in really fine-tuning the position of this thing yet at the moment, because I feel like the little band around here is probably gonna increase in size a fair bit. That's the one downside to the doors I have, and the fact that I have round rooms, that doesn't always mix very well. But for now this will work. Okay, so this door will lead to... I really hate the fact that I probably should just change that at this point. But if I change that at this point, I need to like redo a fair bit of my like whole level loading code, which I don't feel like doing because like 2 weeks ago we ran into an issue with that and I barely remember how any of it works. But I'm loading levels based on name rather than just by like object reference, which would be just so much easier. So that's 112 boss door, because that makes sense. We're not doing that today, but maybe... Oh, maybe we will do that today, actually, if I have a lot of time left. I also need to fix up my music system, because that's very temporary, and I still don't know what I actually want to do with that. And this one is 115 Reaper boss. You see why this sucks? Because if I make a typo, my level loading straight up doesn't work. Which I had thought about that like 3 months ago. Because at this point I'm in a situation where, like, look at the amount of levels that I have. Hold on, no. 1 second. Okay, now those levels are loaded. Like, look at the amount of rooms and like streaming levels. Like, each one of these rooms is a streaming level in and of itself. All of which have multiple doors to them. If I now have to go through all of these doors to change their variables, which are at the moment are names, to object references, that's just going to be tedious and I don't really want to do that. Then again, if we take a look at the map for the eventual full game, if I open that up, the tutorial area is not on this map actually, but this purple stuff over here, that is everything on the world that I'm working on right now. So that's all the boxes here with like this purple brick texture. That's that dungeon. Only this. All of this still needs to be built and some of it still needs to be designed. So I feel like I'm still early on enough to where if I make the change now, it's gonna be worth it for the other like 100 plus small rooms that I need to make. But not today. Maybe off topic, but I wonder how to make a demo map after, let's just say, finish all the map. I'm not entirely sure what you're getting at, but if you want to make like a tutorial, there's a lot of ways to do that. Very hard-coded ways to just like make a level with a level blueprint that just has a bunch of bool variables that you just tick off as you go along. If you want a system that is a little bit more game-wide usable, instead of just within that one level, you could look into my video on my event flag system, because I have something similar to that where I'm not really like focusing on work today, clearly. If I open up like, I don't know, 07 door, I believe has a good example of this. I have a system in my game instance, which is a function that I have. I have an event flag system, so I can just ask, hey, has this event happened yet? And there I just have a bunch of like data assets that just hold a bool value on whether or not an event has happened yet. And then I also have a set event has happened, which similarly on the game instance, and I can just say, hey, get this specific event, which is again just a data asset, set it to being a true or false about having happened. For a more game-wide system, this is a pretty easy to implement thing that you can do. If it's just within like your one tutorial level, just make a bunch of bool values on your level blueprints and you'll be fine. Okay, now with all that, I actually like the fact that it's 6 pillars now, because it does make the map entirely symmetrical. I didn't think about that when I chose 6, I just kind of went off vibes and distance. But the fact that it is symmetrical is kind of nice, because now what I have is I have a door, I have the arena, and then I can have the actual like tomb a part of it exactly opposite the door without it being obstructed by any of them pillars. So that actually ended up working out fairly well. So let's block some shit out. This is quite big. Why is it so big? Don't really care, honestly. So we have that, and then I'm just going to put in another box here, honestly. Just copy over its rotation. And then, you know what? This is all block out anyway. Do we really care about this being any sort of halfway decent topology? We probably do. We probably do. Can I just select all? I can. Thank you. It's exactly what I needed. Oh, it's just going to scale the UVs down anyway. So it literally doesn't matter. We put that over there, and then we maybe pull it up a little bit. Then I have like somewhere in here, I have a coffin. It feels a little small. That seems a bit better. And then both of these can probably... I was just gonna set them both to... it's actually pretty good. I don't hate it. And then pull them down a little bit. It's not very imposing, is it? Really isn't. It's actually kind of shit, is what it is. I really didn't think this through. You know what we'll do? You know what we'll do? I will go to ChatGPT for inspiration. We'll set this to GPT-4. Is there any like sensitive stuff in my things? No, it's just like lore stuff. Well, I suppose there's some stuff about like the Pokemon based IDs that I had. Okay. I'm working on a game and need some help with concepts for a boss fight room. The room is circular. It is the deepest part of a tomb or catacombs. It will have a circular ritual area in the middle and the grave or coffin of a king opposite of the entry door. Can you please generate an image based on this? The important color tones should be purple. Okay, ChatGPT, fucking love them. I've had this issue with ChatGPT where if I generate an image with it, we're going to see if it does it now. And if it does, maybe some of you will know how to fix this. Where it generates the image and at some point it says, hey, the image is done, but it doesn't actually display the image until I reload the page, which is just very annoying. But again, it's been like a couple of weeks since I've generated any images with ChatGPT because I don't actually do it that much. I did a fair bit for like, you see, there it is. It's finished generating it because I can regen and rate it, but it's not actually displaying. And I'll just sit here for a moment to show you that even if the circle completes, I don't think it's going to show the image. But let's see, maybe I'm wrong. Riveting content, isn't it? So, how's everybody doing today? Had a good day? I'm just gonna fucking refresh the page if you don't mind. So, now, it'll have an image. Oh, that's good. I'm kind of freaked out, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of freaked out at the fact that it generated 6 candles in a circle around it because I did not specify any such thing in my description, but that is what it looked like on my end. Well, not with the candles, but with like the 6 things on the outside. That's kind of creepy. That's a pretty good starting point, though. Can we make the grave area at the back? Yeah, ChatGPT image generation, it's using Dolly. Dolly. I always say Dolly. It's Dolly. It's really kind of good at generating images. I still think for just like generating visually pleasing images, Midjourney generally like does a very good job. Dolly is pretty much on par with it, especially like the newest versions. Let's not even talk about video generation with Sora. That shit is insane. The grave area at the back, more imposing. It's rather small and unimpressive at the moment. And this is the reason that I got ChatGPT Pro, is being able to give feedback on generated images is huge. I used to just generate IDs and stuff, visualize them with Stable Diffusion locally on my machine. And I still do like the option of having this kind of generative stuff locally on your own machine. But the fact that you can have an image and say, hey, I like this, but I don't like this specific part about it, and then it will regenerate. Like, you can iterate now. Whereas if you're just generating image by image, iterating is a lot more difficult. You can change your input prompt and hope that it does something with that, but you can't say change this part about it. And you're going to see it's going to be an entirely different image, don't get me wrong. Like, this is very much a different image. And I like it less. No, the middle shouldn't be raised too much. That is where the actual fights will take place. But I really do like this. Like, this is the kind of thing where I'm like, people should chill a little bit on generative AI at least, right? I talked about this in the video I made last month about Palworld and the whole controversy there. Like, people should chill a little bit on generative AI, because these images are not going to end up in the game. This is just me brainstorming with a fucking computer. Instead of just by myself, just visualizing things, coming up with ideas like, oh, hold on, that part is neat. But I like that part. That's also kind of cool, actually. But specifically not what I asked for. No, that's the opposite of what I asked. I don't want a coffin in the middle of the circle, and the circle shouldn't be raised up from the ground. It's just a shame that it's a little bit buggy in, at least on my end, in how it displays those images, and that I have to refresh and stuff like that. It's kind of small annoyance. But all this does show me that for these designs, I think the extra surrounding area that I have, for the most part, probably shouldn't even be walkable. That is the one thing that I really liked about this design, is that we still have that circle in the middle, but everything around it is just kind of like filling up the entire space around it. So we can still have that circle, and then the rest of the art that we're going to put in there eventually is going to make it feel less circular, while still having the circle to do the actual battle in, if that makes sense. So we have a little bit of like a hybrid between a circle and a hallway. Look, this is just straying way too far from my initial idea. Like, yes, I said I don't necessarily need the outside. I didn't even say it to ChatGPT, I said it out loud. The outside to be a circle, but at this point, you're literally making a square room. And you still have the fucking coffin in the middle. Let's go back to the first design you made and use that as a base. Just make the grave at the back end of the room more imposing. And it should do a pretty good job at this, because at least in text, I haven't done this much. I've done it a couple of times with images. Well, at least in text, it's pretty good at picking up like, oh, wait a second, I should just ignore the last couple of things that we talked about and act as if that it didn't happen and go on from what you just mentioned. And presumably all this is doing like its GPT thing and then feeding that into Dolly. So I'm going to assume that just works the same for image generation. I don't know why it keeps thinking that I want the thing in the middle. No, I do not want anything in the middle of the room. I've also found, and this is actually kind of sad, right? I've also found that being a little rude to ChatGPT actually gets you better results, which makes sense because it is trained on data from the internet. And being a little bit rude on the internet usually gets you better results. So it's kind of funny how that works. Oh, it's creating me 2 responses. I like that. I love being part of an A/B test and getting more stuff when I'm trying to make like concept art. Which, yeah, this is not concept art. I know. I made an entire point about that in my video. Is the whole point of concept art is that it is consistent between different angles, and that is that one fucking thing AI sucks at the moment. Though, Sora, again, video generation, issues with that, but it does seem to be better at like spatial consistency. So maybe that's going to get fixed in the next couple of months / year. I don't know. We'll see. Could you finish generating, please? I feel like they finished generating at this point, right? I can probably just refresh. I'm just gonna refresh. I keep asking you not to put anything in the middle of the room. For fuck's sake, are you actually stupid? I've adjusted your design. No, you have not. But this does give me a good idea, because what if we like have a throne with... I like that. What if we have a throne with the thing behind it? Okay, I've got some ideas now. Let's get working on this shit in Engine. This suddenly looks a lot less interesting. So we have like a little podium here. We can keep that. That's fine. That's the podium. Pull it out a little bit. Then we can have this rotated a little bit. Rotate it around like that. I don't know if this is going to go well without it having collision. It does. That's good. And then we have a... I'm going to make this very rough. Again, I'm trying to get better at first blocking things out before I actually make the art, because a lot of this art is just going to be created in Blender anyway. Make it a little smaller. That'll do. The rest of this we'll do in poly editing because it works a lot better anyway. So pull this up. Can we do like a loop cut? I suppose what we can do is we can just inset this face. Again, this is just for a block out. I don't even know why I'm worrying so much about this, if I'm being real with you. Pull this out, we extrude it up a little. And then we, no. Extrude that up as well. And we've got a throne. Isn't this just the best throne you've ever seen? It kind of works. You know what I think we need to do? I think at this point we have made it to a good place to just walk around this room a little bit again. So let's copy this location. And teleport the fuck over. Does this even... Okay, so that does still count as step-up height. That is nice. We've got our little fighting area. And then we've got our throne. I actually think that this is a pretty good scale. If I'm being real with you. I think that this works. Also, is that very loud? That is very loud. I'm sorry, let me... That is maybe a little too quiet. That seems a little better. Yeah, if we like add some more actual art to this, I think the scale of these will be pretty good. Maybe the scale for the throne could be a little bit bigger. Like a little like that. But then I also want the coffin itself to be raised up. I think that will help a lot as well. So what if, hold on, we make this even bigger. We're definitely going to need to make a new texture for this at some point, because this texture is like 512 by 512. It's not great. I think 3 times is about right. And then we just say, hey, there you go. Maybe make it a little thinner as well. Does this make like any sense to have a coffin lifted up like that? No. Not really, if I'm being honest with you. I'd go so far as to say that it's actually pretty nonsensical. But I think it looks more imposing. And it allows us for this throne to be a little bit bigger as well, which is probably a good thing, because again, it needs to look somewhat imposing. So that's good. Now, opening up our ChatGPT again. One thing that most of these things have in common is these like Roman style pillars around the outside. What I like though is the idea that it only has it on the back side. Gives it a little bit more direction to the room, you know? There's also a lot of things here which have just a lot of detail in their texturing, and I'm not going to do that because I suck at that. So let's go back into modeling mode here. Oh yeah, the cylinders are fucking huge. I forgot about that. Let's make this like 50, 100. 100 seems good. And then this 700. Is that reasonable? That feels reasonable. Might actually even be a little short. Let's make this... What should we make this? Give me an idea. 1534. Is that a good idea? That's probably not a good idea. Like, let's just make that 1550. How does that stack up? Like, these definitely should be significantly higher, or at least like noticeably higher and bigger than these little things, which are probably going to be like lanterns or something like that. So let's go into poly editing mode and say, hey, you probably a fair bit thicker, like that, and then a fair bit higher, like that. I think that's pretty good. Let's make them at least high enough so that we can make, if we wanted to, some kind of like balcony that goes over this as well. And then I think what I'll do, I have IDs. If I put you right smack down in the middle here, we will... Where was the pattern thing? Definitely not in deform, right? Must be here. Ah, there we go. Exactly. That's what I want to do. But just keep the scale at 111. And then the count is going to significantly increase to something like that. Increase the radius as well. Doesn't that immediately look like... Okay, ignore that bit. We're going to remove a good few of these pillars in a moment. But that immediately does look better, doesn't it? Let's accept that, and then... I learned this only like a month or two ago, but if you have an actor, right? If you have an actor like this, it can be really annoying to select a component and then do something and then select a different component. Well, actually right now it's doing it. So maybe it's just an Unreal 5.3 thing. But if you just double click in the world, that's how you select individual components, which is fucking fantastic because I didn't know it worked like that for the longest time. And we can just delete the individual components like this. And apparently that one is being a little bit of a bitch about it. It's because it's the parent component. Okay, I know that is an issue. I'll give you that. Because it's also then going to be the pivot point, isn't it? Yes, it is. We can fix that. Right. Can we just go back into modeling mode and pretend like I didn't just bake that? No, we cannot. Well, maybe we can actually. If I just do pattern now, it'll just have the same settings and then... it actually marks the one that is the... Oh, that's really nice. It marks the one that's going to be the parent. So then we can say the... Oh, but wait a second. We can say half a circle as well. Okay, hold on. If I set this to 180... We got options. We got options. Set this to like 7, maybe? And then we have angle shifts. I know that this is technically 180 degrees, but it doesn't feel like it because it's actually just straight up knob. Like now it's 180 degrees. Because these two are now exactly opposite each other. I don't know what makes that happen. No, I do. So this should be 180. And then the exact middle one should overlap with this one, which is actually quite tricky to get right. Is it control that I want? I really like it when software allows you to hold like control to increment less and shift to increment faster with your mouse cursor. Unreal, not one of those programs apparently. It doesn't matter that it's not exact, but it should be. Actually, that's pretty good. So the issue here is that we just need an even amount of pillars. There we go. But still, that I feel like we probably could do with like like -20 and 200. Like this feels a lot more like 180 degrees than actually 180 degrees, or am I just going insane? Well, the actual reality of this shit doesn't matter. This is just what it looks and feels like, so this is what is important. This area is starting to shape up a little bit, getting a little bit more texture. Well, not literally, it's still just grid textures, but you know what I mean. And if you don't, that sounds like a you problem. So let's also make like a half circular balcony. What is going to be the easiest way to accomplish that? I imagine it'll be a torus? Maybe? No, it will not be. Now what we're going to do instead is going to make way more sense. So we're going to do this with a cylinder. And remember when just a moment ago we had a cylinder in the exact position that we needed? Wasn't that a good time? Okay. This can just be in the same XY position, at least. That's a good start. And then back in poly editing we go and make this very much smaller. Some of these static meshes we might actually end up putting to use. Like these things probably don't need that much more detail other than just being given a good material. And if they do, it's probably not that difficult to do that in engine. Man, this thing is going to be pretty fucking big, isn't it? It's a bit much. That is spot on. That is actually impressive. How spot on that is. So let's accept that, and we're going to duplicate this and make this like 80% the size. And then use this as a bool. Maybe we do the plane cut first. Actually, I do think we do the plane cut first. And we do that with snapping enabled. This other cylinder is really getting in the way. Hold on. Yeah, see at this point it's very obvious that this is actually just straight up not 180 degrees. But I don't care, we'll just pull this out a little bit more and that'll do. So, oh, this is going to be a problem, isn't it? Because now this is also going to be cut up. Yep. Yep, didn't think about that. And let's just make a separate cylinder for this. Can I just unlink this? Can I like make new instance or something? It's probably a thing we can do. It's probably easier to just make a new cylinder. I don't care. This is all stuff that's not going to get packed anyway, right? So who gives a shit? Answer, not me. That's who. 50? 50 is too much. 30. 30 is still too much. 22. 22 might actually straight up just be a good number. I don't want it overhanging, so I was trying to be funny with not choosing 25, but I think 25 might straight up just be actually what we want. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, now, bool. Is that modeling? Is that mesh? Union, simplify. Definitely not union. Not voxel, probably. Xform? Make no sense. Boolean. Why won't you let me? Oh, need two meshes selected. That makes a lot of sense. There we go. And then does it just delete the other one? Is that how that works? That feels like that's how that works. We need to clean this up a little bit though. Can we make this? Now it's in global space, right? We don't want that. Yeah, that's also definitely not what we want. Hold on. Maybe we can do something with this. Yeah, no, that kind of works. Would it have been easier to just move that other edge around? Probably, yeah. Probably would have been. But it's kind of fun to just play around with some of these different tools. Yeah, no, definitely should have done that though. Because right now things are fucked up. I don't want things to be fucked up. Because things being fucked up is not good. So let's just do that. No, we do want to maintain the bool operation. Yeah, the build and Unreal modeling tool is actually pretty good. I wouldn't say that it replaces a dedicated modeling program for the most part, but like building out levels like this is so much smoother than it used to be in Unreal. It's actually just kind of crazy. Now, my question is, if we try to like bevel this, can we do that? Bevel. We can. But the options for beveling kind of suck, seemingly, because I don't get an option for like the bevel like repetitions. That's not great. But I guess it'll have to do. So at least remember my last used option. It does. Okay, at least that is something. So yeah, this N-gon is going to be the death of me because I sincerely doubt that this is gonna bevel well. I mean, I'm gonna give it a try. Slab of material on that, and that might actually not be bad. That it also beveled that side. Okay, sure. Why not? You know, this is starting to look like something. I don't know, it's starting to look like something good, but it's starting to look like something. Something that I'm not entirely displeased with, at least. Because that's a good start. Now, let's go back here. Is there anything else that we like from any of these images? I guess we can like put a couple of like altar looking things in between these. So we've got this throne here, right? Which, yeah, definitely still does not feel imposing enough. Hold on. I think this throne just needs to, at least the pedestal for it needs to be going from pillar to pillar. And then the throne itself can probably be somewhat smaller, but not too much. That makes it feel like it fills the space a little bit more. And again, the exact details for this we'll figure out at some point. And then if we have a couple of like little altars around here, that makes things a little bit more like in contrast. So we can put this here and then if we do something like that. Now my question is there any way to make... There probably is and I just don't know it, but I would very much like to add more geometry to this mesh without like... What I want to do is I just want to add like a disk, right? For instance. And then have these two be the same objects, which it looks like at the moment. Oh yeah, you can. Just make sure that you already have a static mesh selected and it's just going to add it to it. Okay, I answered my own question. Thank you very much for everybody jumping in on that. Which is nobody, because I probably figured it out before the stream delay even caught up to that. So, can't really blame you guys for that. Let's do this with a sphere though. And then what we'll do is... Hold on, no, it doesn't add it. It does not add that. Never mind. That's not how that works. I suppose if I just select both of them, I can union them. Right? That just combines them into one mesh? It does. Okay, so that's the thing that we can do in a moment, but while these are separate, let's make use of that. I'll just do it with transform for now. By making this... Maybe that's a bit much. If we do it like this, right, we should end up with something that resembles... Maybe even... a little bit more like that. We should end up with something that resembles like a plate or like a platter. We could do stuff with. Yeah, I think that works. Like if we make that a gold color, I think we're good to go. Matter of fact, let's just see, because I think I have a gold material. It could be a little deeper, I think. Maybe we can do some stuff with deforming. If we say, hey, take this lattice and we... Can we change the size of the lattice? Is the question. We should be able to, right? There we go. So 3 by 3 by 3. The Z resolution really only needs to be 1, I think. Yeah, that makes it easier to make this like deeper. I also think it made it significantly less round. But that might be a good thing. That might be a good thing. I'm going to pretend like that's a good thing. Because I don't really feel like doing it any other way. So then I just did Control J to join them together like you would in Blender. I will lose my fucking mind. But actually, maybe you want to put some torches on this as well. But if we're going to do that, we might as well make this into a blueprint at that point. Let's just... For now, this will do. What does merge do? Does the same thing. Don't know what the difference between merge and union is. Merge multiple meshes to create new objects. Where is union? Boolean union, the selected mesh including self-union to resolve. Oh, it regenerates the actual geometry if things overlap. You can always go to actor in the merge. You can also merge actors? Huh. For now, I wonder, can I, like, say, hey, take the static mesh and make an actor out of this? Because that would be ideal. Edit. I've decided I don't care. Do the whole pattern thing again, because that's fucking amazing. And how many of these do we want? We want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 this time. So that should just kind of resolve itself. Shouldn't it? It does not. Why does it not? Am I just an idiot? Maybe I am. 7, start angle, 0, start angle, -10, start angle. I'm just doing something at this point. -4, no, -7. -7 seems good. And then end angle, let's start with 180, 190, 185. 186.5. Again, I think I was just trying to be funny there, but by adding the 0.5, I think if I remove this 0.5, it actually is pretty spot on. Yes, it is. Oh, I hate myself. So accept that and then find, hey, this one, no, not that one, fuck off. This one we're going to just remove. Return this box. I am so upset. They're inside the wall. Okay. Pattern, all that stuff. Radius, just make that smaller. There we go. But also it seems like there is a little something weird with this because it's not exactly in the middle of the room, I don't think. That has me nervous. It's good enough. I can always go to the top of the editor, select actor and choose merge actors. That works, I guess. What is really my my problem, or rather my worry, I suppose, is at this point, if I want to add stuff to these, I just decided that the little platter should be a little bit more out into wood, the circle. If I now want to add stuff to these that is not just a mesh, like a torch with a particle system, it's gonna be annoying to replace them. Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I was thinking about mostly. So is there a good way to just select all, like, connected? Because that's the thing that Blender has, and that's the thing that I really like about Blender, is the fact that you can say, hey, this face, select everything that is like physically connected to it, instead of just selecting everything in here whatsoever. Then again, the way that this whole like polygroup thing works, which I know is not a thing that Unreal invented. I don't know if ZBrush invented it, but I know that ZBrush does it. That's a lot better. How's it going, everyone? For me, it's going pretty well. I've actually, like, I am not displeased with the progress that we've been making over the past hour and a half already, but slow steps, but good steps, right? I'm liking the way this looks. And then what we probably want is also have like some cloth hanging from here to just make things a little bit more like royal. And of course a lot of this is going to have to be replaced with actual art. But let's just have a little bit of a walk around here. I think that'll help us a lot. So we do it in a very roundabout way, but we do it anyway. Probably should just put a save point in there. I realise that now. Well, that's too late. Well, it's not too late, we can still do it, but it's too late for this playthrough. So what does this feel like? Like, okay, that is definitely like instantly more imposing. And you see what I mean with this might still be a little bit on the big side? We definitely need some more like intrigue in the actual arena here, because this is just a very wide open space still. That said, though, these things are pretty decently sized, so I think just adding some more art into the middle here, if only through just a little bit of like texturing, will probably be a good thing. Now, what I can't help but notice is that I can stand behind this pillar. If I go to the other side, I don't think I can. So these are not evenly spaced out. Something went wrong. Something went wrong in like the circularity of this thing, and I don't know where or what, but it's not good. I am not a huge fan. The other boss looks like that's kind of what I'm going for, so that's honestly a good thing. So yeah, this entire thing just needs to be a little bit bigger. It's not good. It's real not good. I also don't really have a good idea as to how I can best fix this, which makes it worse. Like, this legitimately just straight up does not seem like it's actually in a circle. Like, either the room is in the circle or these things are in the circle. But something is weird. Maybe a little dent in the ground in the middle. Yeah, I think something like that will be for the best. I'm trying to not raise anything up in the middle because the boss fight is going to be able to like teleport to any of the tops of these pillars and then dash towards a player. So I don't want any obstacles in the middle that will obstruct that too much. But we'll look into it. Look, if I increase this, I'm just going to do this bit by bit, but then I move this over in this direction a little bit. Now this is clipping all the way the fuck through, so that's definitely not great. Actually, there might be something to this, because all the way in the back there, things are also clipping. So that's clipping, that's clipping, that's clipping. Things clipping a little bit is actually not a bad thing at all. Like, we can just... I can deal with this. Just putting like a little bit of a base on the pillars fixes that up real quick. A little bit of a dent in the ground there does seem like a good idea though. So let's take a look at that. Back into modeling mode we go. So what if we inset this face like around here, and then we extrude this down even more. And then potentially what we could even do, hold on, I got ideas. If we take this, so if we take, I just want to select the edge, man. Just let me select the edge. Why won't you just let me select the edge? Because I'm in polygroup mode? That's probably why. Deform. Mesh. What did I have before where I selected the edges instead of the polygons themselves? The polygroups? I did it by accident earlier today. Certainly it wasn't with create. Kind of taking the wind out of my sails with what I was trying to show. Not gonna lie, but we'll triangle at it. No, that's still polygons. Remove hidden triangles from static meshes. That's interesting to know. It's not what I'm trying to do. It's gotta be in deform, right? Didn't think that was it, but I wanted to see what I did. What is dynamic sculpt? Is that... That is sculpting with adding stuff. That's good to keep in mind. Still not what I'm looking for though. Is it polygroup added? I don't think it is. No, it is not. I can see what this does. But this, yeah, that does the exact opposite of what I want. A selection filter. Hold on. I'm just an idiot maybe. No. Well, yeah, I still am an idiot. Don't get me wrong. I very much am. It's just not for this reason. Oh, I can select edges. Why won't you select? I'm clicking on this edge. Okay, I'm dragging. I can fucking drag. Okay, so the idea is The fuck? So my idea was, we can scale this, but it's... I don't even know what it's doing, to be honest with you. It's moving this left and right. It's scaling from a very weird origin. Why must you make this difficult, Unreal? Like, why does changing the scale of this? Probably because this is the origin point. Oh, yeah, that's probably why. That's still not great, is it? Why would you ever make the origin point of this edge like that? Why would I want that? Okay, better idea. Better idea, better idea. Take this and scale this down instead. And then take this and scale this a little bit up instead. Gets the same results, just a little bit different method. So that gives a little bit more texture to this area. Also, before I forget, again, let's add in a checkpoint here. Or a save point, I don't know what I called them. BP checkpoints. There we go. So that I can actually just like straight up load the game from here. That'll help me a lot going forward. So location copy. Oh. Huh? Okay. I'm gonna be real with you, I don't really know why. It's supposed to load you into the level that you were last saved in. But I suppose maybe it's keeping track of the last level I was present in? Either way, this works for me. I'm still going to save the game, just in case. But that works for me. Please create a DMX proper tutorial, you know, DMX Unreal Engine. Yeah, I know that it's there, but I also don't really know how to work with it because I've never done it. And I don't expect to anytime soon. So if you're looking for a tutorial on that, not here anytime soon, I don't think. Because I've got a bunch of things that I'm trying to... Imposter. I've got a bunch of things that I'm trying to work on and get better at to turn into content. So that's not really on the menu anytime soon. Let's take this concept of this like indent thing. There's limited tutorials on that I can understand, and I understand that that's annoying, but it's not at a moment where I feel like I'm gonna be putting a lot of my energy. So, like maybe at some point, but at that point you're probably better off having learned it from someplace else. So if I take this and pull this down, down a little. That again adds a little bit more texture to this area. And the question is, will I fall down those? That's actually quite important. I don't think I will. Nah, they're just entirely like visual. And maybe I can put something in there now. It feels like if we're doing this, right, we have this like area around, and then we've got this inner area which then also goes down and has like now a actual like pedestal in the middle almost. Maybe we like turn this into like a fountain or something. If we put a fountain here, that would make a lot of sense, but that would then also require me to make a fountain, which actually is not that big a deal. So let's make a quick mock-up for a fountain. Because that's going to be real easy. Let's see, the height, make that a lot more squat. Torn between watching this and watching the gas tutorials. Well, this is live, and the gas tutorials will be there forever until Google decides to shut down YouTube, which I hope is not anytime soon, because if they do, I'm kind of fucked. Because, you know, even though this channel isn't my full-time job, my job does kind of rely on YouTube existing, so please, Google, don't do that. I would very much appreciate it if you don't pull the plug on this one project for once. I know it's kind of what you do, being Google, just randomly discontinuing things, but I think like this is one of the few things that you do in your life which is profitable, so yeah, please keep YouTube as an existing thing. That would be neat. All that to say is, if I were you, I'd be choosing this, but it's entirely up to you. It's really annoying when like insetting does this annoying fucking shit. And then we extrude this up a little. We extrude this up again, and then we want to select all this, and this is gonna fuck up. Yes, it is. Does Unreal have a extrude along normals? I think that's push-pull. Push-pull, that's where we go with this. Wait, isn't push-pull also just when you... Yeah. So we do this, and then we inset this as one, like... actually, we don't even need to inset, right? Because we've got this. Yeah, we don't need to inset shit. You can just say, hey, select all this, and then, again, I think if you hold Shift, no? Alt? No, definitely not Alt. There is a way to just push-pull, I believe. But I don't know it at the moment, so surely this can't go very badly. YouTube might become Google's entertainment system. I mean, if that's the case, I don't mind it at all. So sure. Just the only thing that I care about is that YouTube exists and it's profitable to keep existing, so that it can be profitable for people on it. Because those people on it are the people who are paying me. As well as you people. Like, you guys also... Well... Fuck! Didn't mean to press that button. As I was saying, like, some of you pay me directly through Patreon, but even if you're like not directly throwing money at me, just like watching the videos, if you don't have an ad blocker, that is, is also a form of payment. And even if you do have an ad blocker, it's good for the algorithm if people give me watch time. So in a sense, that's still payment. Though I do vastly prefer you not to use an ad blocker on my content, if at all possible. I do understand if you do though, because YouTube ads are the fucking worst these days. Like, they're actually really bad. So I'm definitely like 100% not blaming anybody who's like, yeah, no, I'm not dealing with that shit. I'm blocking ads. Well within your right there. Yeah, rebuilding this is a lot easier than... I fucking hate it when it does that. Kind of reminds me of the Ender portal. I mean, I get it. I get that, yeah. Yeah, I don't mind if people have ad blockers. I mean, I prefer people, if they want to block ads, to just get YouTube Premium. But that's like purely like a selfish... I would prefer that because it pays me. Kind of deal. But like from a moral standpoint, I don't really care about people using ad blocker. Like, at all. Well, maybe not at all. Like, I do prefer people who... That came out wrong. I don't prefer people who don't. I would prefer people do not. But not to like an insane extent. Like, it's not a hill that I'm willing to die on. It's like, it's whatever. In the end, the whole like ad format on the internet only works because, well, ads work. But if you're like not going to interface with those ads, you are very unlikely to be subject for those ads to work on you to begin with. So you not watching the ads actually makes the advertisers their money used more efficiently, meaning that they're more likely to advertise. So, okay, we've got a fountain. Fucking hell. So yeah, long story short, I think the whole ad blocking thing is a little bit more nuanced than ad block bad. Yeah, that is definitely not even close to centered, is it? Like, let's look at this from a top perspective to be sure. Yeah, that's not even close to centered. I don't know what happened to the like symmetry of this area. But we've got a bit of a fountain now. I will promise you this. This fountain is not going to be filled with water. This fountain is going to be filled with blood. Yeah, now if you skip the ad, I just don't get paid at all. It's if the skippable ads only pay out, and they pay out a lot, I might add. Like, if you have a skippable ad that's like a minute long, if you skip within after the first 5 seconds, the advertiser doesn't pay. They don't have to pay. But if somebody watches through, I don't exactly know how it's calculated, if you need to watch to the end or if there's a certain percentage threshold at which point it's counted as like a view. I probably should do some research into that just because it's good to know. But if somebody actually watches the ad, usually like ad prices on YouTube range from like $1, $1.50 per 1,000 views to like $4 or $5 in some niches. And if you're watching ads on like financial advice YouTube channels, that kind of stuff, that goes even higher. But those are very specific, very high value niches. So those are usual ad prices. If you have those skippable ads, people who actually watch through those can easily be worth like $7, $8, $10 per 1,000 views. It's very hard to get 1,000 views on a skippable ad because most people skip those ads. But yeah, especially those skippable ads, man. Some of them are like 5-10 minutes long. So I get it. I get the ad block thing. I personally have YouTube Premium for the exact same reason. It's like I don't want to deal with ads. Ads on YouTube are the actual worst. Also, ads on YouTube sometimes straight up literally just scams. They're just literally advertising scams. I don't know. Doesn't feel good. I'll be honest about that. Anyway, we've got the fountain now, which has a little bit of a nice feeling to it. Maybe being a little bit bigger if we increase the size a little bit. Not too much, again, because I don't want to be able to get too stuck on this. But I do like I do like the look of that. So at this point, what we need is something that is a little bit like sculpting. My phone is getting like messages every single time, and it's not even like messages. It just pop-ups that a certain app in the background has stopped working, and it's like Huawei services or something like that. It's a Huawei phone. It's an old one that I'm using as a Stream Deck. And it keeps failing. I'm like, yeah, just keep it turned off then. Don't bother me with it, because it's really annoying. So what I think might be a good way of going about doing this is setting this to unlit for it. Actually, no. That makes it more confusing. If we do this, right, and I move you... actually, I want to try to sculpt a little bit here, and I don't know how well this is going to go. But we're about to find out. Never sculpted within Unreal, so aside from some landscape stuff. But so far, this doesn't seem so bad. It actually seems pretty doable. Like the dynamic sculpting thing. Like the way it generates new geometry is like almost straight up better than ZBrush. It isn't, but it's damn close. So if we do a little something like that. There's a lot here, wow. Yes, it does. Doing this without pen pressure is actually like really annoying. Like it looks like shit. Straight up. I don't even think Unreal, if I were to hook up my tablet, supports pen pressure, which is just like, what are you even doing? Having sculpting tools if you don't support that. Do we have like a pinch? What does pinch do? Ooh, that's a little strong, isn't it? It is kind of what I want though, but it's just a little on the strong side. Oh my god, does YouTube literally just advertise not safe for work stuff? Because if you as a content creator even like educationally talk about anything close to that, you get demonetized instantly. So that is fucking stupid if they do that. I would believe it though. Okay, we've got that. Now let's try to vertex sculpt. This shouldn't add any new geometry at this point. Is the idea anyway. So, oh my god, no, don't do that. What I want to do is I want to grab. It's this, right? Can I just move? I don't want to add any... Oh, there we go. We want to... move. No, not smooth fill. I want to move. Does that just let me... Why would I ever want to not move those vertices in the back? What makes you think that this is how that would work? Unreal? Maybe that's at the fall off to being higher? Nope. Depth to being higher? That's doing something alright, but I don't think that this is what I want. Let's go back to dynamic sculpt, because that fucking sucks. Can I just... Okay, move. Like, just doing a little something like this, and then smoothing this out. I think it's actually getting worse as I'm going along here. Yeah, I don't think I like this. So how are we going to do that though is the question then, because doing this in a way that makes sense to fit within this area in either ZBrush or Blender is going to also be a nightmare. Actually, I don't think it is, because all we need is like the rough shape, and we can then sculpt things around a little bit inside Unreal once it's sculpted in here, but like the actual like cloth of it we can make in Blender. So let's just keep this as a temp asset for now. Do we have any red colored stuff like cloth or something? Camera lid double-sided. You know what? It's definitely not what I meant. This purple color will do for now. Let's try to mirror that. The other way around. Not quite there. Almost. Come on. I wish you could make the size of those gizmos on your screen bigger. That would be neat. I mean, it's something. I want to change the pivot point out. Edit pivot. Can I now just move the pivot point up to there? I can, okay. put you in the same XY location as these. Don't know how this is going to deal with all that, but let's see whether or not this works. Button. Yeah, maybe not. I don't even know how the fuck any of this... What? Is it the zeroization? It is the zeroization. Okay. Radius for this just needs to be a little bigger. I mean, it's not great. We can all agree on that. But it does the job, kind of, mostly. It decorates the things a little bit better now. It makes it feel a little bit more alive. I mean, that's one way to make a 2D game, right? You you just force everything to a depth value of 0. You know, constraints are a thing, right? I don't know if you did in Unreal Engine. I'm assuming you did. But you can just straight up constrain things to axes, which kind of just does that for you in a less brute forcey way. If you just go here, and you might actually need like a physics body for that now I think about it. But in that case, just do it on the collision. Yeah, you can just like constrain lock position in like the y-axis, and that does the same thing. But again, on a lower level, and in like the physics calculation instead of the frame calculation. So that probably would have been a better way to do it. But hey, if it works, it works, and that's the most important part. And if you didn't fail, that's the second most important part. I honestly do think that this is a pretty neat block out for the arena so far. But it wouldn't be finished, right? It would not be finished if we did not at least have one giant fucking skull. So let's do a skull lantern here. I might not actually end up making it a lantern because I don't think this is actually lighting all too much. 15, bit too much? 10. Like, would this be a Grim Reaper boss fight arena if we didn't have a giant fuck-off skull on the wall? This is necessary. Greatly necessary. It does make the entire thing a lot more intimidating. I'll give you that. Too much for a very simple game. I mean, just setting constraints on things is actually easier than hard coding everything to be reset to position 0, though, is the thing. A skull that keeps looking at you could actually be a nice idea. Oh, that could actually be interesting, right? Because the idea here is that definitely like the blocks on these things are definitely going to be skulls. But if I make those skulls just separate components, and when the boss fight has selected a thing to move to, then that skull specifically starts rotating toward the player. That could be really cool. That gives you a little bit of a heads up when it disappears. Like, it takes a second before anything ends up happening. And then you have a second or two to figure out which one is rotating, which one is looking at me. that's where he's going to spawn in, rather than just kind of waiting around and hoping you don't die. I really do like that as an idea. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Not today, not right now, but that's definitely like a thing I'm gonna do if I don't forget, which I probably won't. Or maybe I will. We'll see. I think we made a good bit of progress here. I must say I'm running out a little bit on ideas, but I also think that we maybe just make a couple of art assets specifically for like these things. Having I kind of already do have the assets for these, don't I? We'll figure that out later. I don't really feel like doing that now. A couple of art assets to make some of the things that we're going to be playing around with already in place, like those lanterns that the boss is going to be spawning from. And from there, before we add in anything else, I think it's a good idea to first just make the boss fight and program the boss fight, and then worry about all the like more nitty-gritty art stuff. Which means that I'm going to have to rethink the boss fight design and how that's going to work, which I don't look forward to. Maybe add torches on the pillars or something related to the boss. If it's these pillars you mean, that's probably a good idea. If it's these pillars you mean, these are probably going to hold the skulls. But I'm assuming you mean these, which... I mean, realistically speaking, I could like do one of these on each one, looking into the middle-ish. Like I do throughout the entire dungeon, more or less. It's kind of annoying to play. I'm going to be so happy when I'm done with this dungeon and I don't ever have to place these skull lanterns again. Because they are actually just straight up a pain. Because the snapping for them doesn't work very well for some reason. I still don't know why. But if I, like, surface snapping, if I turn that on and I try to move this thing around, it, like, does weird, wacky stuff. And it doesn't align to the normal properly either. Like if I rotate the surface normal, it just like no, I'm not gonna do that. So it's a little weird with how this thing works, but we'll figure this out later. Again, that's more final decoration type of thing. But for like the block out, I think we've pretty much got everything in place for the general like vibe of the block out. But those skull lanterns being on those pillars is probably going to end up being a thing. And there's probably going to be like torches on these little altar things as well, I imagine. And the little altar things in general are probably going to like be a little higher up. And then have like 2 torches each on them, which might have purple flame, might have normal flame. I'll have to try to see what looks better. Now you're going to be doing a lot of fucking fighting about right about here in the center. No, I can't say that I really have issues with booleans just flipping. That seems weird. Must be getting set somewhere else in your code. Hold the fuck on. I didn't delete this. Didn't delete this one. Get the hell out. There we go. Anyway, that's just over 2 hours. I think we're going to call it there for today. I'll be back on Friday, maybe doing a retry at actually modeling the boss if I have a design ID for it. Maybe, possibly, I don't know, probably. We'll try. Or we'll be making some art for this. Probably not though yet. We'll see. Yeah, I have to imagine that you're just overlooking another place in your code that is setting your bool value because it's just randomly flipping like that. Like even if it does it, especially if it does it consistently, there shouldn't be a reason for that because I was actually corrected on my garbage collection video, which at first I doubted that was the case, but then I looked further into it and tested a couple of things. Unreal doesn't garbage collect non-U objects variables. So things like floats and bools and stuff like that, which are just like base variables. Unreal doesn't garbage collect those, so you don't actually need to mark those as a U property in order to keep them from being garbage collected. So it can't even be that. That's the first thing my mind went to, but apparently that's not how that works. And my experience with a bool getting garbage collected was just me being an idiot. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's been a good one. I'll see you all back on Friday when we're doing fucking something.